Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how we do read-alouds. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My channel is all about being a wife, a mom to 4 boys, living overseas, and I love talking about all things homeschool. Today's video is in collaboration with a bunch of other awesome homeschool moms, and I'll have the playlist linked down below. They're all going to be showing you what and how they do read aloud in their household. And I also will link the host, Shauna, down below in the description box too. Her channel is all about homeschooling, and she has 2 sets of twins. And yeah, so go check that out. Especially if you have twins, you may find her information really helpful. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how we handle read-alouds in our family. So since our boys are still pretty young, the oldest are twins and they're in 1st grade, and so I tend to keep our read-aloud time pretty short, and I also like to still do books that have pictures in them. We do some picture books, we also do some chapter books, but that would have some pictures that my boys could look at. So today I'm going to show you guys what we use for read-aloud time. I'm going to show you guys a couple chapter books and some picture books. I'm also going to include some tips and tricks to reading aloud to young kids. And then I'm also going to show you guys, I have some things spread out here on my table, things that I get my boys to like play or do while I read aloud to them. So I hope you guys find this helpful. If you're getting value from this video, please click on that thumbs up button so I know you're enjoying this content. And let me know down in the comments below how you do read aloud, and I would be open to read aloud suggestions for young age, for boys in particular, and also things that you do, have your kids do while you read aloud to them. I'm always looking for more ideas and suggestions also. Okay, so a couple of tips I have when you read aloud to kids, especially younger kids, I'm thinking like my 6-year-old boys, is look at the cover and ask them like, what do you see on the cover? What do you think is going to happen? What are the people doing? And then also maybe relating it to their life. Have you ever done this? Have you ever done that? And then also with chapter books, you can flip them around and read the back and discuss that a little bit. Usually they make it sound, exciting and interesting, and it piques the kids' interest. For us, when we're reading read aloud, we usually sit on a cushion on the floor or go on our bed. Just how our house is set up, that's often how we do it. And so usually my boys are, if they're right beside me, like on our bed, it's easy for me to like show them pictures because they want to see the pictures. It really helps them to be interested in the story and stay focused. And if we're sitting like on the floor and they're coloring and stuff on the floor out in front of me, I'll turn the book around and show them. So either way works. And it's good to like ask questions. What does it look like? What's happening in this picture? Ask them, what do they see? You can also talk about like their feelings and emotions. It's a good way to be able to discuss stuff like that. And it's also bringing it into real life for them. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever done that? Have you ever felt that way? Also, when we get to a new chapter, I like to read the title and like ask the boys, like, what do you think that means? What do you think it's going to be about? Just to pique their interest and get them curious so that way they listen better. Also, when we finish a chapter, I like to kind of have them retell to me what they heard. And I may have one child kind of lead out, telling what happened in that chapter. When the first child is done kind of retelling his version of what happened, I will ask his siblings if they have anything they want to add. And then the next time we do a read aloud or finish the next chapter, it'll be another child's turn to kind of recap what happened there and then have the siblings add in stuff that he might have missed. I think it's kind of a Charlotte Mason thing to have the child kind of recap what happened in their own words, and I think it's a really good way to get the child to learn to pay attention. At first it might be a little hard for them till they practice a couple times, but then once they're used to that, I think it's a lot easier for them. It also helps with their public speaking skills. And another tip I have for doing read alouds is to do it at the time of day when the kids are not really full of energy. For us, this is typically in the afternoon. It's kind of the hottest part of the day here, and my boys are ready for just like a little bit of quiet time, and so we will go and somewhere where we can chill and relax and read a chapter or two, just nothing too long. Another good time of day for us is at bedtime. When my boys are kind of tired, they're laying in bed, they're trying to like calm down and go to sleep, and I'll read maybe just a chapter or two with just like a dim light. Sometimes I just use the flashlight from my cell phone to shine on the book. That way it's kind of dark in their room, but I still can read, and then I'll show them the pictures when we get to one. Another way that we do read alouds is sometimes just listening to an audiobook, and this one works really good for when they're falling asleep at night. We do this a lot with different stories, including my kids are currently doing Adventures in Odyssey, which isn't necessarily a book, but it still is a story, and they're listening to it, and it has all the different voices and like music and all that. That helps make it really interesting. Another tip I have is to go on YouTube, and you can find a lot of kids' picture books and also some chapter books on there, and have the YouTube author or whoever it is read the book to the child, and that can be really interesting because it's just a different voice for your child to listen to. I know with all the COVID craziness going on, some libraries have been closed. Here in Cambodia, our library has been closed we typically go to, and so this works really good, especially like in morning time. If there's a certain characteristic I'm talking about teaching my kids, I can go in there and find a book that I've heard that's good that talks about that character. On YouTube, you often can find even the author reading the book, which makes it kind of a unique perspective and interesting. So that's another suggestion I have, is using YouTube for finding people reading books to kids. Another tip I have when you're reading to young children is give them snacks, or do it over like lunchtime, a mealtime or something like that. I know like some moms, if they're doing sandwiches or something, they'll eat their sandwich while they're making their kids' sandwiches, and then that way while their kids are eating, they can be reading aloud to them, and if their hands and their mouths are busy eating, they can't be talking and making noise, and they can listen to the story a lot easier. So yeah, snacks or over mealtime is a great time for reading alouds also. Another one is asking a lot of questions while you're reading, even when there's maybe not a picture in your chapter book. It's just to keep them curious, keep them interested, keep them focused. And I have found that asking questions is a really good way to keep my kids focused on the story. And then very last of all, this is probably like the biggest one when you're doing read-alouds with young kids, is to keep your read-aloud time short, especially if you're doing like chapter books that don't have a lot of pictures and stuff like that. All right, and now I'll turn the camera around and show you guys my books. Okay, so I'm going to start with like your typical chapter books for read-alouds, and then I have some more like picture books that we use to read aloud, and then I'll also show you things that I give my boys to play with while we're doing them. So these two books here are from the Bear Grylls Adventure series. This one is the Mountain Challenge and the Blizzard Challenge. My boys enjoyed these. There is quite a bit of pictures. They're just black and white, and if I just read a chapter or two at a time, it definitely kept their interest. The Who Was series I know is really popular in the homeschool world. This happens to be the only one that we have. Who Are the Wright Brothers? And it has black and white pictures, great colorful pictures. And again, I can't read a lot at one time, but if I just read a chapter or two at a time, they can stay interested in that. The Magic School Bus series is a great series. You can also find them on YouTube as videos. And this is obviously an old, well-loved book, but it's good imagination and educational stories. And then these three books we did with like our homeschool co-op, and then after we were done reading them, we did like a themed party with the kids in the co-op. This was Charlotte's Web, this was The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, and this is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And of course it's fun to watch the movie then when you're done reading that one. Okay, so I kind of start with like the most advanced books for my 6-year-olds, like the chapter books with least amount of pictures, and we're going easier and easier. So the next set is like, these are great for read aloud, but they do have more pictures than what the chapter books did. So these are Usborne. These are like the Usborne Beginner series, and these are so good. They have like, they're so educational. They have tons of pictures, and we'll just read like a couple pages at a time, or depending on what we're learning about in science, I'll look up a specific thing. And it's written in a way that my 6-year-olds can definitely understand it. There is over 50 titles in this series. My boys just love looking at the pictures in these. They have some really cute ones about animals and stuff. And the next one is Mike Milligan and More, and this one has 3 stories in it. And this one here has a little more like text per page than what like kids' picture books would. So, you know, it's teaching them to listen a little bit longer per picture. And yeah, these are just really great stories. They're timeless stories that kids just find so interesting. And this book also introduces them to some new vocab words that they may not be familiar with. My kids have a friend, and he memorized the whole first story in here. He had his mom read it to him so many times. This here is by Shel Silverstein. Some of you guys may be familiar with him, the author. He writes like poetry and stuff that kids often enjoy, silly poems. So this one here is a chapter book, and it's a great book for like third culture kids. It talks about a lion, and he lived in the jungle, and then he eventually went and lived in a city. And in the end, then he doesn't quite feel at home in the jungle or in the city, which is how third culture kids often are. So my boys can relate to that story. It kind of honestly ends a little bit sad. He goes off by himself. But my boys and I, we discussed about how other versions of how it could end. Okay, so moving on down the line, next of all, I have Max Locato books. These are really good ones for teaching morals. This here has quite a bit of text per picture, so it's like one step above like a children's picture book, I would say. My 2-year-old can't sit through this, but my 6-year-olds can, and they find it really interesting. The stories are pretty long, so you could read just half a story a day, or depending on the attention span of your child. All right, and then kind of my last category is interactive books that my 2-year-old enjoys, but also my 6-year-olds enjoy. So like obviously books that ask questions and books that are lift the flap. And this one here is all about like the weather, what makes it rain, how do rainbows appear, and everything opens, and there's like tons of questions, and you open it and find the answer. My boys just like eat these kind of books up. They just love them. And there's a whole series of them. And then these three here, if you watched my What's in a Morning Basket video, you've probably seen these. These are interactive, and it'll tell you like press here, and it talks about like mixing colors, and you turn the book left and turn the book right. This one has a monster in it, and you try to get the monster out of your book, and you have to like wiggle the book and tilt the book and blow on it and tickle its feet and all this fun stuff. Okay, and then moving on to things that I give my boys to do while I read aloud to them. This one here is Equilibrio, and it's a game. I will have it linked down below in my description box, and it comes with all these different challenges. It's a whole book. This one here is the easiest challenge, and it gets harder, and you have to try to stack them. It tells you here what pieces you have to use for each challenge. The box says it's good for kids ages 5 to 99. It's a brain builder series. So that one is great. It can be a little loud if it tumbles on our tile floor, but for the most part it's quiet. Another obvious good one is Legos and like Lincoln Logs, stuff like that. Anything you build with, they can listen. You build with their hands, listen to you read while they're doing it. Another good one is puzzles. This is one that like my 2-year-old enjoys, but I have some puzzles that my 6-year-old, a little bit harder ones, my 6-year-old enjoys also. And then next of all, we have Water Wow by Melissa and Doug. Like this one is for 3+, this one says 4+. As you can tell, these are well loved, but you can keep these little paint things in these pockets. You fill them with water, and it's no mess. You paint just over the white part, and underneath it's color. When it gets wet, you can see the color. And then it dries back white again, and you can reuse it and reuse it. Each page has stuff hidden that you can find in it. These also work really well for if you're traveling. It's no mess. My 2-year-old loves these, and my 6-year-olds enjoy them also. This one here is dot to dot, and then this one here is ABCs. Okay, some more stuff I give my kids to play with. I rotate these things. This one here is you can snap it apart and put it together. You make like wristbands or just all kinds of different things fun to play with. This here is thinking putty. Your friend gave us that. A huge one my boys are really into lately is drawing. So I just laid this white piece of paper here. This represents drawing. I have tons of paper that they can just take and draw a picture of what I'm reading to them, or draw a picture of anything they want. Another good one is stickers. My boys enjoy these insect stickers. They're kind of puffy. They can make like a scene on a piece of paper. Also, letters are great. They can try to spell words. This is what I do with my 2-year-old. Sometimes I do this with him while we're doing read aloud. Sometimes I do it like with him and interact with him, talk with him while we're doing it. These are stickers, and you can get these on Amazon also. These are ones I found here locally. But I have all different colors, and they came in packs. And then I will draw, like copy a picture from a coloring book, and I drew circles, and you had to put one sticker inside of each circle. And on here I had just drawn squares. You had to put one circle inside of each square. So there's tons of things you can do with these. If they're doing like ABCs, you could write lowercase and uppercase, and they would have to match them on a piece of paper. Yeah, there's tons of ideas for these if you look on Pinterest. I'll try to link some dot stickers from Amazon down below in my description box. Another fun sticker one is faces. You can also get animal ones like this. There's a bunch of stickers in the back. As you can see, it's been well used. And then you can stick it on the different faces. And I know there's also like animal ones like this. And then this is just a big Melissa and Doug coloring book, and my boys enjoy it just because it's such a large one. And it takes them quite a while to color in here. If my boys are in the right mood, they enjoy coloring. If they're not in that mood, then they don't enjoy it so much, but if they're in the mood, they can really color. Okay, so those are my suggestions for hands-on activities during read-alouds. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing how we handle read aloud in our house, the hands-on activities, the picture books, and also the chapter books. And I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please remember to click on that thumbs up button. And I will try to link everything that I can find on Amazon down below in the description box. If you guys buy through my link, it doesn't cost you guys anything extra, and I get a very small commission from it. So thanks if you do that. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you guys again soon. Bye.